So how the hell did two blokes from England end up running a 100K a month business and coming here to Vegas?
It's a long story, to be fair. But I think Adam will laugh at this. So we started 6 months ago because I saw somebody else in the space that did it, and I thought, why can't I do that?
Who was it?
David
Dude, David Andre?
Yeah.
Dude, I love David.
He was like, I think he was making, Adam, was it like 30K MRR or something like that at the time? And I was like, cool, yeah, I'll do the same thing. Literally, I just saw it and then I just took action and started.
And how do you guys know each other?
So we met at university. We go way back. We've done loads of ventures together. We tried to always crack the code, but we've tried pretty much everything. The first one was our fitness apparel business, Forwards in Style. So like a gym brand.
Oh, yeah.
That was our first one. I think everyone's tried to get an apparel business. So that was our first step into entrepreneurship.
Business was a t-shirt business.
Exactly.
It's like the meta.
Yeah.
I think we had like 7 rebrands in about 3 weeks as well. Like I think we did a lot of talking, but not much actual doing of things. That's
But you know
sure.
what? That set this in motion.
Mm-hmm.
That first business was like the domino effect to where we are today.
Yeah.
100%.
And then you went off and like you did a bunch of stuff with content. Like you did massive numbers on TikTok. Like I remember like sitting beside you in a restaurant and you were like showing me like some of the stuff you'd done.
Yeah.
But you couldn't really crack the monetization piece.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So I've always created content and I was going for ads. So ads on YouTube, TikTok Creator Fund, making 10, 20, maybe $100 a video, getting millions of views. I could never crack that monetization. So when we found Skool and thought this is the meta, community's the meta, Skool's the platform. So for me, it just opened my eyes to the world of opportunity. But I couldn't crack it before, even with so many views. Now with less views, the amount of money we're making per view is off the charts compared to what I was getting.
And it's a really good point because in this entrepreneurial journey, like you can have like 7 of the 8 things locked in, but if you're just missing, the eggs from the cake or just that one piece, sometimes it means that you're not going to level up, which is why like I always think you have to take a really long-term perspective when you're starting businesses. And actually you've got to fall in love with the game of failing, assessing what went wrong and then trying again. And that's why you have to have the resilience. Like you've got to get that experience. And like sometimes it takes like, I always say it's nothing at all and then it's all at once.
Yo, that's like a Evelyn Weiss-ism as well.
Yeah.
She talks about like, in her like little cute like Austrian mom accent, she's always just like, you're so long here, it's nothing. And then all of a sudden, oof.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's very well said. That's very well said.
So like Kirby calls this like broke influencer syndrome, where you have like millions of views, millions of subscribers, you can't make money at all. So you'd crack like the content side.
Yeah, I'd literally got like 500 million views on TikTok and Instagram, 100K followers, making money through brand deals, getting flown out, traveling.
Yeah.
But in terms of replacing my full-time income, just couldn't crack it until this.
Yeah. So the difference this time was that you guys started with an offer and then you built content to serve that offer.
Yeah. So the reason I knew this was going to be successful is because I made some content on it and somebody gave me a super chat on YouTube and it was like $20 or something. And the weird thing about that is what it said was that like, I find this content so valuable, I just have to give you money. Like I didn't ask for it. They were like, just have the money. I remember saying to my ex at the time, I was like, it's not about the $20. It's the fact that they feel so compelled by the value delivery they want to give. And that's when I knew for certain that this was something that was going to go like very, very big.
Cool. And why a community? Like, why did you think the community model would work for you? Because you could have like started courses, you could have like sold like products, you could have done like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I did a tech business, which I sold some of before I did Skool. So I'd been doing that full time for a little bit. This whole model is fascinating because the margins are crazy compared to like any other traditional business. And I think it's better. It's the way that social media is going. We all had like the death of a subscriber and how that's all changing. People want a community. If they want a third space, they can hang in and have that incredible relationship. So community is 100% the way forward.
Do you talk to me more about that? The death of the subscriber, what does that mean?
Yeah, so when social media started, we had a subscriber and we had a creator. Yeah. And you would only ever see the videos of the people that you were subscribed to. Mm-hmm. Over time, algorithms caught onto the fact that actually we want to monetize as much money as possible per eyeball. So instead of showing the subscribers you were linked to, they would show you the videos they thought would keep you on platform the latest, which means that, and TikTok's an especially egregious example of this, you don't ever really see who you're subscribed to, you see the videos they think you want to watch. Mm-hmm. So we've lost that connection between the subscriber and the creator, which is why subscribers mean the least they've meant in a significantly long period of time. So community enables you to interact and build authentic relationships with people and get that direct access to somebody. And that's the direction of travel. So there's a really interesting video by the founder of Patreon.
Dude, I was literally thinking about that, like the speech in my head. I was like, yo.
He literally nails it down. That's actually the direction. So even if you have, there's so many industries on Skool, right? Across so many different topics. You've also got the platform itself and the model, this decentralization of education. Like we talk about university in the UK, it's like £9,000 a year, and that's crazy. Even for an English degree, and crazy degrees that aren't that expensive. It's my view that this decentralized education is slowly chipping away at more formal styles of education because it is just incredibly valuable. And the way we want to consume content, I think, is changing. And Skool is flowing in that direction, which is why I think the model's so sick.
He said third space and you went. So talk to me about third spaces.
Well, you have where you work, you have where you live, and then you have where you hang out. That has been completely lost in this digital age. So your third space is where you hang out with your friends, you come together for your hobbies, your interests. That's completely lost. People aren't hanging out with pubs. They're not hanging out in their third space. That's what this community serves. And what we put a lot of emphasis on is that community, taking it from digital. We do meetups. That's why we're here in Vegas and LA. So we try and really emphasize the community element. We love the classroom, we love the calls, but for us, the biggest sell of our community is the community.
Yeah, it's funny, like we were chatting at the mansion last night about how, like we've seen it happen in our lifetime. Like we're all pretty much the same age. When were you guys born?
92.
93.
Yeah, I was like 95, right? And so when we were younger, we kind of had a little bit more of that third space. Like you play football or rugby, or you'd like go over to your friend's house and play Xbox, right? And it just slowly things shifted where it's like, then you don't go over to your friend's house to play Xbox. You sit in your house and you play Xbox with them. So we've seen that like kind of start to get chipped away. And then something like COVID comes along and it just like accelerates that like massively. And we were talking last night about how there's such a hunger for all of us to like find our people. And I think like that's what you're talking about. The third space is like you can come together with your people.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, the reality is you become the average of your 5 closest friends, right? And it's like, who is your circle, who you're hanging around? And if you don't have, those relationships, and actually it was really funny, actually, come to Skool Games, and we joked about this, but like, you are a little bit weird if you're locked into Skool because you're doing stuff that other people maybe don't want to do. Like you're working evenings and weekends to make magic happen. And it's odd in some circles. When you come to Skool, it's like, I don't know, everybody's doing that. And it feels like, oh, they get it. And if you don't have those like friendships, those connections, like where you live, community spaces allow you to meet with other people who, hey, we're all heading in this direction. This is where we're going. And they can say, hey, Matthew, you're veering off slightly to the left. We need to bring you back in. And they help push you to get there faster. So who you're actually surrounded by with, it's like an environmental high. I always say that, Adam, it's like the difficulty setting of like your journey. Like, do you want to go extremely hard, nightmare mode, or easy? Like get the right people around you and it's an easy mode instead, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Goose has this insane thing where he says, I was interviewing him and asked him, what's your definition of community? And he said, community is a place where you don't have to explain yourself. And so think about like the town or the city that you're from in England. And I'll think about my little village in Ireland. If you're, let's just say like an entrepreneur, it's like you're a weirdo. Like your family doesn't know what's going on. Your friends don't know what's going on. Your wife doesn't know what's going on. Your granny has no idea what you do for a living. Like that, and you have to explain constantly like what you do. You come to an environment like this where you're surrounded by other entrepreneurs in Vegas at Hermosi's place. You don't need to explain yourself. Like you're in a community where like everyone gets it. And this is the same for every niche on Skool. And that's what you guys have done with AI. And you guys, what I love what you guys do is you take it to the extreme. So talk to me about your in-person meetups and how that's gone.
Yeah, well, we try and just give as many touch points to our members as possible. And these meetups just allow us to actually bring that virtual to the physical. And we always think if we can meet up with someone, we can see the back of their head, we can get to know them. We hopefully make a member for life. And we can just get a deeper connection. So we try and do it every single month, like to do touch points with all of our members. We travel the world. They literally vote on where we should go. They're engaged with that travel. We obviously have a good time flying around, but to actually meet someone in the person, shake their hand, buy them a drink, I don't think there's anything that could beat that.
So what was your first one and why did you decide to do it?
First one was Vegas. So
Oh,
we
when
did
you were
Skool
here?
Games and Vegas, and we've done London, we've done Germany. Well, we're going to do Italy next month. We've done LA. So we're just slowly working our way around the planet, meeting people.
You're on tour. You're like Taylor Swift, dude.
We are on tour. Yeah, we're definitely on tour.
Shaking hands, kissing babies.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
So how did the first few ones go? Like, what have you learned? Have you made them better in any way? Do you have any structure to it? Is it like a hangout?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what my biggest takeaway was. I was blown away by how intelligent, generous, and just genuinely awesome people they are. And that has been without exception in every country, all of them. I'm like, obviously they're all smart people. But I'm like, these guys are like so flippin' locked in. It's amazing. I've not been to a single one of my meetups where I've not had someone that's come to me and said, dude, I've made like 15K selling your automations. One guy made like 18, 20K selling it to the mayor of his city. Did a ton of voice automation. Like every single one of them have had some insane success. And they did like, this is just amazing. And they're just like really happy to be there. But I'm really blown away by like the quality of people we have. And one thing I really pride ourselves in our group is like the culture and the vibe. And like, we're really there to help nail it. And when you see that in person, it's a completely different kind of thing. So we love that. In terms of what we've actually like changed, I think the mandate, bro, isn't it? It's just like we want to rock up, we want to have a good time and just meet people. What we don't do is sit down around a stuffy mahogany desk, with all no blacked out windows and talk about business. It's all relational. It's all meeting up and having a good time. And then the conversations flow from that.
And what Jack mentioned about culture, like we, not even by design, have just really emphasized culture. So the meetups are a big part of that. Like we're just naturally positive, enthusiastic. So that just bleeds into everything we do. And we think of meetups a big part of what not even by design is the culture that we're trying to like build up in the community.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys emphasize hanging out.
Yeah.
More than anything else. Really interesting.
I think people follow and want to hang out with people that they like. And I mean, like we could wax lyrical about business stuff, but I think that's almost like taken for granted, like the content side of the conversations there. What they really want, I think, is what I really want is a connection. I want to like, I know who that guy, I know his name, I know stuff about him. That's like most important to me.
So how else do you guys, that's on like the deepest, level of the funnel is like in-person meetups. How do you guys facilitate that connection and that culture in your community? Because again, this is why I'm so excited to talk to you guys, because on the surface, it's like, dude, two AI bros doing AI stuff. And you get in there, it's like, dude, these guys are like family. It's like you guys like love your people and they love you. Every
time a new member comes into the community, I say you could literally just use the automations, download the blueprints and not touch anything else and you'd get your value. I'd really not recommend that. So we put a big emphasis on that community and all the different touch points. We've got teams that people are part of, accountability squads. We do 2 calls a day. Every single opportunity that we can give someone to build a connection with someone as soon as physically possible, as soon as they're onboarded, we take advantage of it.
Tell us about the profile pictures.
That's his.
Yeah. So like, it's like, I get down these rabbit holes sometimes and I'll find myself spending like 6 hours on something and I'll emerge and what the hell just happened. So in our community, when you reach level 5, so first of all, our system, right? You start off as a fax machine. You start off at the bottom, you get nothing.
That's the name of the level.
You're nobody. You deserve nothing and we make that very clear. That's why they start off at level 2. And then you progress all the way up to level 9, which is like, you go through, you become a trailblazer and a wizard. And at the end, once you reach the T800 for the Schwarzenegger fans out there, and then the singularity. And every level has an unlock. And we have these profile photos at level 5 that basically, we've got deep lore, man. It's not quite Tolkien, but it's approaching it in some respects. So like we have this like unique avatar for each level and then you unlock it. And I absolutely love it. And people have like the avatars and they wear it on. And if you look at our leaderboard, it's just all these beautiful colors, like it's red, it's purple, it's green, and it's deep blue. So that's when you unlock on our thing. And I think it's great because what that is actually, and the reason why I think it's so successful is because it creates status in the group, which is why on Skool, for example, the fire emoji is so successful because it says something about who you are. It says something about, I've been here, I've added value to this community, I'm part of this group, I'm proud of that fact, and you've got status. It confers status in the group. I just think it looks amazing, and we wanted to find a way to recognize people that are showing up, adding value, and obviously they get benefits as they go down, but I absolutely love it.
Right, so just like really tactically, someone hits a certain level and you guys make them a custom profile pic.
Exactly. They get a congratulations welcome video. They unlock some benefits and then they have a form they fill out. Would upload any photo they want to. We remove the background. So the primary concept I saw was from Andrew Kirby, who added a little ring. And I thought, that's cool, but how can we take this up to a completely new level? The new level is we remove the background and we give them a specific thing for that. So the Trailblazer one, for example, it's like this dragonfly thing. You see it in the level system. You also see it in the avatars. Everything's singing in the same hymn sheet. Everything's connected. And then we get our sort of EA, then we'll basically DM them their new profile photo, and then they can kind of upload it.
Cool. So it symbolizes like a sense of belonging.
It is, yeah. Yes. And they've earned it. So
one of my big rabbit holes, I don't think I've ever said this, like I did a PhD on basically like subcultures. And the subculture that I really looked at was bicycle messengers and other types of like dirty workers, right? So like truckers, like bin men, like people who kind of have like, but inside these subcultures, there's like such a strong sense of belonging. And a big part of that was even just like the clothing, like the things that you wear. So it's like, if you're a bicycle messenger, it's like you have like the one strap bag. You have like that specific type of bicycle. And they're symbols that you're actually like, you're inside the club. So these like little tokens are like very, very, very powerful. So I love like even on a digital space, you guys have found a way to do that because they're like, dude, that guy has a red custom one. Yeah. That guy has a green custom one. Yeah. So there's a sense of belonging, but there's also a sense of hierarchy, and like people want to progress through that as well.
It is. And it's funny as well because people say, dude, I can tell when they're from your group because we can see their like.
Well, this is the fact that I learned like in the Hermosi Day yesterday is that the fact that like you have like branded these people, you've given them an identity. Anytime they go anywhere on Skool, like they're representing you. And didn't you say that they use that custom profile picture like in other places too?
Oh, like on their WhatsApp, on their Instagram, they're using it elsewhere.
It looks amazing.
It does.
I use it as well. It looks really cool. But here's a funny thing, right? It's like when I think my philosophy and community, it is a hybrid of two things. You and your subject matter expertise, and your community sits in the middle. So I would say when you see things like this, and we see other communities try to just copy and paste certain things, and it never really lands because it's got to be authentic to your style. So the takeaway for me isn't go and make an AI wizard level. It's like you've got to infuse your own personality. If it isn't authentic to your personality, it will ring hollow. And it's like it only works because that's just the way that we think about. That's the way we show fun. So you got to find out what's like fun for you,
right? And
bleed that in. It isn't actually. There's nothing magical about an avatar photo. It's actually the personality of the group. And like, that's where you've got to be authentic with it.
Right.
And each level unlocks a ridiculous amount of benefits. So we've gone so deep. 5 minutes before this podcast, we were locked in with a coffee, caffeinating and automating, and we were going through the levels, simplifying, adding to it. So we've gone really deep with what they unlock as well. So that needs to be paired with the profile picture. So it's not just an aesthetic profile picture. There's a ton of value they unlock. And we literally 5 minutes before this went super deep to try and see how much more value we can fit in.
And, you know, for another group, it might be nothing to do with profiles. It could be just something completely different. It depends on what's your personality. And your group is a mixture of your personality and your focus, for sure.
Yeah. So, so many forking paths here, bros. Okay. So the first thing I want to say is, you ever heard that Napoleon Bonaparte quote, like the short French dude that conquered the world? He said something like, "My whole life changed the day I realized that a man would die for a blue ribbon." And we see that. It's not about like, even sometimes like the money or the objective. It's like, it's about that sense of like identity or sense of belonging. And like what you just said is you just got to figure out what your blue ribbon is. So one part of your blue ribbon is like a profile picture, but for a different community, it could be like something else. Even on Skool, like you mentioned the fire emoji is like a blue ribbon. You know, the crown emoji is a form of a blue ribbon. And so many like Skool games winners that we talk to, it's like they don't even care about the money. They just want to like be on the leaderboard. Do you know what I mean? It's like the money just becomes like Monopoly money. It's like, no, I actually just want to be like number 5 on the leaderboard.
They just want the status thing, right?
Yeah. So how would you, if we were to like go a little bit deeper, how would you coach a community owner listen to this to try to find what their blue ribbon is for their community?
I would say, here's the other thing I would say as well, which I think is a really important concept, is that when you start a community, you are the community. It's like there's this graphic where there's like, imagine a circle, and the circle is your community and the circle is you. They are a perfect overlay. As the community gets bigger, the community actually becomes larger than you. And you are no longer like, that's why when I say our community with our group, I like every member of our group it's as much their community as it is Adam's or my community. I don't feel like I can't really say my community. It's always our community because they shape it and grow it in such a unique way. And your role almost becomes you're a curator, you're trying to help, and you're kind of the snowball's already in motion and you're just trying to direct it slowly, but it grows way beyond when it's just you commenting every post and like there's 3 people and you're 2 of those people and you're asking all the questions and stuff. So I'd say that to say that like your role in the community changes over time. And your blue ribbon is a function sometimes of the culture, but the culture starts from the very top. The standard that you set is what your community will develop into. So what that might look like might change based on how the community grows. I suppose like the way that I always think about how you discover that stuff is really thinking about what is the end objective you're trying to deliver again? So first of all, there needs to be value because like style without value you're not going to go anywhere, right? It's just a lot of flashing and, whiz bangs. So the fundamental needs to be the value, but really it's about your personality. Like if you are dry, if you are introverted, lean into that. Make it crisp, make it really simplistic because that's your personality.
Right.
There's no point trying to be all these whiz bangs and flashing lights if that's not who you are. It has to ring authentic to your personality, which makes it, I think, I'd probably agree, like the easiest thing in the world because you just do what feels natural about how you want that journey to look. So you've kind of like, it's difficult to answer, but I think you've just got to follow your personality and just weave that into the fabric of the group. If you don't like video calls, maybe you just do audio calls because that's your style. And that's okay, right? Because if they want other kind of calls, they go somewhere else.
Yeah. So, I mean, you said a couple of really interesting things there. The first one, the way I heard it was that the blue ribbon has to actually be connected with the mission of the group.
Yeah.
And the results that you want people to get, it can't just be a blue ribbon for the sake of being a blue ribbon.
Exactly.
It's like you actually use the blue ribbon to reward the types of behavior and action that will get people the results that they came into the community for the first place. So like what's the thing that everyone in your group is working towards? What's like the mission?
So the mission is they want to make more money with AI and they just want to either, like we have people who want to, at the very beginning, they've never made a single dollar online with AI. We help those people scale up and kill it. We have people who are making hundreds of thousands, millions a month who want to have, they can leverage AI for things. We have people who work for organizations and companies that want to, because we sit at the very prefaces of the latest AI and no-code automation. And that's where we drive the value. So we just bring to them literally the cutting edge in those tools and the application set for that is ridiculous. And our job is, I mean, think about this, right? Our group is about $50, $67 a month. You hire me full-time for that. You hire Adam full-time for that. For $50, $67. I'm working full-time. I do all the hard work. So you have to do literally zero.
Right.
Plus you get our head of technical and all the other support calls and stuff like the value there is crazy. And when we talk about things like the blue ribbon, some of it is, how do we help you get there faster? But one of our big values is fun. Like we want to hit the goal, but we're going to have a great time doing it. And that's why we put an emphasis on the fun because it's for me, it's not worth it unless you're having a good time. I don't want to do it if we're not having fun.
And that's where the second bit of what you said is it has to be very authentic to you and the group and the culture. You can't force a blue ribbon. It has to kind of feel like...
And it's a good point actually, bro, because I don't know what you think about this, but I think if fun isn't one of your values...
What are you doing, bro?
I'd say, what are you doing? I mean, if you don't like fun, I'd say maybe it might be the group for you. Like, get that kind of coffee. But maybe you're like dry and simple, simplistic and like you just want an in-and-out burger model of I want this, I want that, and it's very clinical. That's completely cool. There's no wrong with this stuff, but it's got to... You'll be way more successful if your group is an authentic reflection of the way you run things. It's very easy to look at what the top 10 are doing and just say, I'll do that, I like this. And you get this Frankenstein model of this inauthentic, synthetic community. And it never sticks. Like we do like, thousands of dollars in competitions every month. And we do giveaways. Like if someone's adding value, we like to recognize, so dude, we're covering your coffee for next week. And I've seen other groups just... and for certain things, they'll take certain things. But it's like, that's not the thing that works. That's just like that's just like, it's part of the culture you have in your own group. Try not to copy like individual. It's not, there is no silver bullet on this stuff.
Yes.
It's just got to be authentic to who
Hermosi's got an amazing thing on this. It's actually in the Skool Games classroom. He talks about Joe Rogan and he does like Venn diagrams of Joe Rogan's interests. And it's like, podcasts, interviewing, MMA, alien conspiracy theories, saunas and cold plunges, like hunting with a bow and arrow. You know what I mean? It's like the most weird, like diverse range of things, but that's what makes it the JRE experience.
Exactly.
That's what makes, and for you guys, like you're all about like the coffee. The coffee, there's no connection to me with like AI and coffee, but you guys are like, it's like part of your brand identity. It's like drinking coffee and lock-in and all this sort of stuff.
Dude, it was never supposed to be. It just kind of like, it just sort of evolved that way, didn't it, actually? but that's actually funny. What Joe Rogan's been a good example of is he's prevented audience capture. Maybe for that concept. So the idea of audience capture is you have like a specific topic. Like Nikado Avocado is an excellent example of this. He had Nikado Avocado.
Okay.
So he made videos where basically he would eat lots of food.
Oh, the mukbang guy.
Yes.
And
so you attract an audience or community around a particular content type that you make. The problem with that is that like, if you want to make money doing this, you have to keep serving the content the audience wants.
Right.
So you keep doing that type of content, even if it no longer aligns with your values anymore. And that's what we call audience capture, where the audience captures the creator. So you must, in my view, make content that is authentic to you, even if it's not going to be the most viral thing ever, which Joe Rogan's done a great job of. He'll make content at MMA. He knows that 90% of his audience couldn't care less about it. I mean, I care a lot about it, but you know, like even though they don't care, he does it because it's authentic to him. So you got to like, audience capture is like a huge thing.
Yeah, but this comes back to what we talked about with social media and getting like a lot of attention. If the objective is views, then you get audience capture. If the objective is I'm on a mission to help people insert the blank. So in your case, I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible make as much money through AI automations. Then the content becomes a tool to serve that objective. So you can't get captured by the audience because you're captured by the mission.
Exactly right.
You have like mission capture.
Oh, 100%.
If that makes sense.
That's exactly right.
And that's a very, very powerful thing. I want to look back, something that you said blew my mind at the Hermosi Day yesterday was the impact that some of this stuff has actually had on the bottom line of your business. So I'd love for you to share, like, even since the last time you were in Vegas, talk to me about like where your MRR and your churn was at. And for anyone who doesn't know, churn is basically the percentage of people that leave your community at the end of the month. So churn is something that like a lot of the big school communities are focused on, because if you have a bucket and you're filling up with water constantly, like Jack's making like YouTube videos, it's like filling up the water, your churn is like a hole in the bottom of that bucket. So obviously the smaller you can make that hole, the more you can keep people, the more money you can make, the more impact you can have, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead.
So we set up the group, and in a month and a half, we'd won the Skool games. We got to 60K MRR with about 25-30% churn. We picked up loads of gems from Hermosi, from Sam.
Incredible, by the way.
It was. But we were mindful that we wanted this to continue. That's when I came on to support Jack, and now we're at 100K turnover with a 15% churn.
Right.
And our goal now is to double the turnover and reduce that churn to 10%.
I love it. So you guys came, and I saw like you guys were super hungry. Like on the first time you came to Alex's place, like I saw the notes that were being taken, but a lot of people take notes. Like I've been to every single one of these. I don't know, it's a 10 now or something. And the difference between you guys and other people is that like, you're on the all-time leaderboard. You've continued to grow. There's a lot of people who they'll do the pump and the dump.
The pump and dump.
Yeah. So they'll come in, they'll do that first bit, they'll get lots of people in. Yeah. And it's like, there's no bottom to their bucket. So it's literally just like straight in, straight out.
I think that's a really good point. A lot of our conversations, if I'm honest, most of them are on product and fulfillment. At least that's where the world I live in, which is reducing churn, giving everyone an interstellar experience, making sure their time in the group and value per time in the feed is as high as it possibly can be. So most of our conversations are, how do we improve the community? How do we add more value? It's never just, shall we just run more ads? Because we know we can turn that off any moment. All of it's organic. It's such a soft sell when we promote the community. Jack does an amazing job at that. And then when they're in, we say, look, I was going to take advantage of your 14-day money back guarantee. Dude, you won me over. That's what we want to do, under promise and over deliver on it.
What else have you done on the growth operator side to like really ensure that like the group, the retention's going down, the culture staying strong? Like what actionable things did you actually do that got you to this next bit?
Yeah, I love that question. And Alex asked me yesterday, and when I said it wasn't one silver bullet that changed it, it is just many, many cuts that over time have just compounded. So we could just go down absolute rabbit hole and be here 3 hours of all the micro improvements we've made. There's some things I can say. Annual, that's obviously been a massive one. Mega discount, exclusive content, that obviously has cut our churn. But one of them is just personal outreach. When people are canceling, we reach out, say, hey, look, what was it about the group that made you want to leave? And we can't have this group without you, man. What do you need from us to help support you? Obviously, we haven't given you what you needed. When you've declined, look, if you need any support, we reach out. When they enter, we give them a kick-ass onboarding process. What's your goal? Where are you now? Where do you want to get to? Okay, you need to be here. How about you? Boom, you need to be over here. So we have made just so many micro improvements, and probably the best thing we do is the touch points. We spoke about community meetups, that's a touch point. Onboarding, that's a touch point. They've got a problem, that's another touch point. So we really try and give, and we say this all the time, a high ticket offer for a low ticket price.
And that, for me, like, that's the beauty of the community model, is that it's scalable. So it's like you're scaling what you would usually have done with one-on-one, only you're able to do it with thousands of people.
Exactly. It's crazy. As I always say, like $50, $6-7 a month, you have us working full time for you. We don't stop. We're doing it 24/7. It's a really cool deal. I think, like, a lot of people, when they think about communities and products like this, there's an overall sense of, I can figure it out myself. And the truth is, you could, but what's the cost of doing that? Like, how long does it take? And I think, like, having a community around you that are all pulling for the exact same direction is invaluable. And the more time I've spent with people that are crushing it, people that are making, you know, a lot of money with AI automations and other Skool game winners that we meet all the time, is they appreciate the value of being surrounded by people who've got the same mission and heading in one direction.
I'd love to kind of double tap and zoom in on your story a little bit, because there's so many people on Skool and so many people who will be on Skool that they're not Jack, and they'll never be Jack. They're not the front man. They're not the face. They're not the person who's going to do the content. They're not even the person who's going to go first. But, like, okay, let me ask you this. What happens if we take Adam out of your business?
Well, I wouldn't want to lose Adam. We're really lucky to have Adam in the group. He's a massive part of what we do. And, like, he is the group. Adam is the group, man.
Yeah.
So, like, we're really blessed to have Adam in that group.
Yeah, like, you need that, like, combination.
Dude, yeah,
of
100%.
Creator, operator, all that sort of stuff. So talk to us about your journey. Like, how did you get involved? How did you start to get involved? Like, what were you doing before? Like, financially, like, what does it mean for your family? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, I was full-time in employment, always looking for that exit, playing around with hundreds of businesses, making content, weekends, evening, trying to make magic happen. And then when Jack had just basically found the new meta, he cracked the code. As soon as he said to me, dude, I've grown this group, I need a guy. I was like, dude, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the offer. I'm all in. We came to the Skool games and we figured it out later. So I was looking for that opportunity. As soon as I saw the vision, as soon as Jack showed me it, it was just clear to me, and I went all in on it.
And what do you feel like your role is? Like, break that down, because some people listen, they're like, I'm not a Jack. So, like, what's an Adam look like?
Yeah, I love that question. My job is to make sure Jack is, one, spending his time where he wants to and where he's best, and just taking all the worries about managing the community, are people being looked after, all of the small DMs and outreach and the support that people need. I want to take that off Jack's shoulder so he can create epic automations and he can focus on that content. My job is, if Jack has got less and less worries over time, I'm doing a great job. And it's effectively just making sure the community is thriving so Jack can focus on what he does best.
Yeah, awesome. And you were able to quit your job?
Quit my job. Full-time this. I came to Skool games. I had to take time off work. I don't know where my boss thought I was, but I literally had to just cancel so many meetings, take the time off, flew out to the Skool games, and then put my month notice in, and then went full time in. But what's interesting is the growth came, interestingly, on the month that I'd quit and went full time. Even though I was juggling the two, the month that I quit, we kind of went 50%. And so there's the power and focus as well. So I was so keen just to quit my job because I knew as soon as I was full time, we would boom.
Yeah. And, like, I see you as, like, a very, like, heart-oriented person. Like, even the way you describe, like, reaching out to people. I think Alex even said it yesterday. It's like, it's almost as if you actually care about these people. You know what I mean? It's like,
Absolutely.
It's like, surprise. Like, you actually really, really care about them. And that's the magic, right? That's what you talked about earlier. Of, like, that connection, that culture.
Yeah, Adam really does care. If we ever lose anybody, it hurts us. We genuinely like if someone ever has a bad experience, we don't have many like bad experience, but if someone does, we're like we're both like we have to solve this immediately. Like Adam genuinely cares, and that really reflects when the conversations that we have. Like, you know, I remember like even when we're getting so busy, this one of our group was really struggling with something. We're like, that's it. Like, let's jump on a call right now for half an hour and figure this out. Even though it's not like I think when you're looking at getting like somebody to come within the group, it's better. You want to get like the best person you possibly can, and you want to hire somebody and partner with somebody who is going to be better at doing things than you are. Like you want to have someone that is going to kill it and crush it and actually cares and shares the values. But the skills thing, you know, fortunately Adam's got phenomenal skills, but I'd say the value set and your beliefs, like how are they going to treat a customer that wants to leave? Like that's more important to me than, you know, how good are they at doing X, Y, and Z. It's like the value set is like the most important thing when you're trying to partner and grow, I think.
Yeah. So again, to like zoom in on like one small thing, it's like for the person who's watching this and like they really identify with like you, because like you took a big step to like, you took the risk to like go on this opportunity as well. And like we talk all the time. We talk every time we see each other. It's like you've got a young family.
Yeah.
Like you've a young son. So, you know, your wife is like in that very, very beautiful and fragile stage of your life. It's like you took a big risk doing this.
Yeah, and I'm blessed to have that cheerleader to support me because I said, look, the money's gonna stop. I've not really got too much of a plan. I've got a bit of a vision, but just trust me. And she said she was fully supportive of it. So yeah, it means the world, to be fair, to be able to do something I mostly like and passionate about, as well as, take care of the financial side.
Right. And so for someone listening who maybe like has a Jack in their life where they're part of a community and they're like, I think I could be the Adam. Like, what's the play?
I can tell you from my perspective while Adam's like mulling on that, like, I think trust is critical. There must be good trust. And the biggest hack that I would say to every single person watching this podcast right now is you do the job you want before you've even got it. Like, you're not working for free. If you're part of the community, even yesterday in Skool Games, we had someone said this guy comments on every post and he does that for free. So dude, I'm hiring you. You're getting paid. You're part of the group. You're in it. Do the job you want to do for free with no expectation. Add as much value as you possibly can do. Show that you're trusted and show up. If you want to be that right-hand man, that part of the group to come and grow it, show up and be that already before anybody even asks you. And if you're willing to do that for free with no expectation for anything in return, you're the obvious clear choice, because here's a newsflash, people, like, you know, people want less problems, not more problems, okay? And if you start solving problems with people, they don't want to add those problems back in again. So it's within your power to join groups, add the value. And I think that pushes it from their point of view. So that would be like my perspective as someone who like initially started the group.
I can speak to that quite clearly as well, because I launched this podcast for free. Like, it was just before the Skool Games started. I saw like, dude, like, is there anyone going to commentate on this? And I literally I just launched it. And I probably did like, I need to check, but like between 20 and 30 episodes before I ever even had the conversation with Sam about an exchange of money.
Wow.
And then literally like 3 months after that, I ended up selling my business and now I'm like full time in Skool.
That's incredible, man.
So I did exactly what you just said. I just like saw something that I'm really passionate about. I started doing it. And I did the job before it was ever my job, and now it's the best job in the world.
Well, here's the good news. The good news is that always works. And the other good news is that most people listening to the podcast, just statistically, the power laws will not do it. Or they may start doing it, but they'll never get to the finish line. If you could just get to the finish line, you're like the 1% of the 1%. Like, genuinely, the good news is most people don't bother. So if you're willing to put the work in and do it, you will get a reward for that.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, to just go super tactical for a second on a podcast perspective. So if you do 21 episodes of a podcast, you are a top 1% podcaster. Like 99% of podcasts, they don't make it to episode 21. So for me, when I was like going on this side quest, which it was at the time, I was like, if I can just make it to 21 episodes, I feel like that's all I need to do. I just need to make it to that point where everyone else would give up and it would work. And it's funny, I actually should go back and check exactly, but I guarantee it was like very, very, very close around that like 21 episode mark, because that's Seth Godin calls it the dip. So it's like, so imagine like, you know, like a big hole. Like, you start off and you're like, this is going to be really easy. Anything you do in life, learning guitar, starting a podcast, whatever. And then as soon as you go into it, you immediately go down into like the valley of the shadow of death.
That's right.
And then everyone gives up there. And it's like you just have to make it to the other side of the dip. And that's where all of the rewards are.
All the rewards are. And like
every single one of them.
You don't get rewarded per unit of input initially. There's a delay. There's a huge delay. And, you know, having done a business before this, you know, 7 years into this entrepreneurial journey, you build up a skill set and an awareness of how it actually works. And if it fails, that's great news. You learned something amazing about it. You only, it's not a question of if, it's just when.
Yes.
So you got to pay down your ignorance debt as soon as humanly possible and get as much value as you can. Like you just focus on the journey and keep moving forward, and you will definitely.
And what did you say at the top of the show? You said something like, nothing happens until...
the way it has always worked is nothing at all, and then it's all at once. But the problem is, it's like, a good little mindset shift is you are making progress. It just hasn't manifested yet. I mean, like, and interesting in your story as well, is that when you started the podcast, did you do it out of passion or was it...
100%.
Okay. Exactly.
Dude, I came onto the platform and I found my people. Like my whole life, I've been like my background is like I was a missionary. I used to work with drug addicts. Like I started a group to like help young men overcome pornography addictions. Like everything I did was just like starting communities, helping communities, building communities. Like even as like a 16-year-old, it's like, dude, let's all go and do X. And then I found Skool and I found a community where every single person was like that, and every single person has experienced. I'm the weird one in my friendship group. I'm the weird one in my school. I'm the one that's like trying to do something. And it was the first time ever I was like, dude, these are my people. I already love these people and I want to serve these people. How do I serve these people? Well, what's the only thing I can do? I've been in podcasting for 7 years. Let's just do a podcast.
That's incredible.
Do you know what I mean?
No, that is so inspirational, Matt. Because like, it's like when I started the YouTube, I was doing it in evenings and weekends with no expectation of getting paid. I learned how to edit over Christmas. Like, it's like you do. The thing is, if you start a group, I feel, with the intention explicitly of making money, you're much better off doing it something that you're passionate about and you care about. Because if it's not work for you, you cannot be defeated. Like, if you would just do this whether you got paid or not, like, how can you possibly compete with somebody like that? Because they love doing it, they're enjoying it, they're passionate about it. So I always think you have to have something that you're genuinely interested in. And I always say, you know, your 9 to 5 keeps the lights on, and then you build your future in the evenings and weekends. Most people that want to kill it and crush it on the Skool that I've met have a day job or a source of income, and they're thinking about, how do I quit as soon as possible? You need to, in my view, follow the passion and get that intersection of something that makes a lot of money, but also they're really passionate about.
It's so funny when someone just lays out your life blueprint without knowing you.
Yeah.
So like, again, just this podcast, like very quickly, I'm not trying to hog the mic. It's like the first 3 months, I did it from 7 p.m. until midnight for 3 months straight. And it was usually 7 days a week. And it's because like I would put my kids to bed and then I would do it. And that's the bit where like everyone gives up.
Yeah.
And did you have like a full plan? Like you knew exactly in a year's time, I'm going to have...
Dude, I knew nothing.
Exactly.
So I was running like a successful podcast agency during the day. So during the day, I would like go to work in my studio in Belfast with my team. And then at nighttime, I would come home and have dinner. I'd like kiss my wife on the cheek. I'd put my kids to bed and be like, I'm going in the garden shed. I'm going to like do these interviews.
Yeah.
And I had no idea where it would lead to. And it just like, you know this better than anyone. It's like, it just led to the next thing.
That's when the best things happen.
And the dominoes fall.
Yeah. Like when I quit my job, I had no idea in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year where the money was coming from. I just said, look, I've got a vision. I'm going to follow it. This has been aching me for like years, and you just go for it. I find like the stars just aligned. I was fortunate to have someone like Jack who'd cracked the meta. We've been doing businesses for 10 years together. So I was fortunate to find someone like a creator like Jack and have a good friend like Jack to actually be able to support on his vision. But no, the path was not clear at all. It kind of, every time I took a step, the new pavement just kind of, just came on.
Absolutely. And I think that's what you have. That's the business experience that you brought to the table. The real experience is, of course, there's like a ton of hard skills, but the real skill is knowing that you have to take the jump.
When you've been through like the tumble dryer of like a business, you know, you're aware of the dips and the peaks and the troughs and the highest highs and the lowest lows. Like you get used to and accustomed to that. So it's just like, oh, cool. Like everything has a solve. Any problem you've got, I've got news for you. It's been seen before and it's been solved before.
Yeah.
And you'll figure it out.
And I think that's like a very powerful message for the person listening who's like just started their Skool community.
Yeah, you need to be aware that there's going to be times where you feel like you've failed. There's going to be times where it feels like it's falling apart. That's entrepreneurship. That's part of the journey. And that's perfectly normal. And it's cool. And it's like, that's ace. We've all been there and we've learned from it. I mean, I've had times for my last business where I was like, dude, this deal is going to change it's going to be the best deal that's ever existed. And they'll promise you all these things and you get it. And it's like, okay, it's actually like less than 1% of what they said it was. Yeah. And then it's like, it's disheartening, but then you build that resilient skill set and you pile it in. It's just reps. It's just get the reps in, do it. And you can shortcut. I mean, you don't have to spend 7 years learning this stuff. If you listen to other people that have been on that journey, and we can only speak from our perspective. Like, we definitely don't have all the answers. This is just what's worked for us and what I've personally found to be true in my experience. And you just got to be a student of the game and try and learn as much as you can, I think.
And that's why I love you guys. Like, you guys are students of the game, and you're like, you've held that spot on the all-time leaderboard whenever so many people fade away from it. And like, and well, the where I'd love to kind of wrap up is like, where are you going?
So very clearly, we've got our mission for the group, which is to help as many people dominate and crush it with AI. What that looks like financially is we want to double to 200 a month and get our churn below 10%. We want a group that's so good, you'd never want to leave. So our churn, we want to get it down to close to zero, if not zero as possible, minus 2% if even possible. But that's our mission. We want to double it and we want to get our churn way below. But that is just a lagging metric of our lead metric, which is deliver as much humanly value as possible to everybody in the group. Like, that's fundamentally what we do. How can I best serve you and make your life as good as possible? And all of that stuff is just a consequence of doing those inputs.
And this is why I love the kind of partnership, because I'm going to really oversimplify. Of course, it's not like this, but it's like, your job is to like really bring people in, and your job is to like really get them to stay. And it's like, you need that like yin and yang, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like very, very powerful.
And it's like as well, I would like, there was a funny interview with the guy of Skool Hard Knocks. He might have done the podcast. His best interview I ever saw was he had the guy to do, what's your biggest lesson in business? And he was like, who's feeding the dog? He's like, you got 3 people in the room. And it's like, who's feeding the dog? I thought you were feeding the dog. No, you're feeding the dog. Wasn't it you? And the dog dies, right? Like, you need to be clear on who's feeding the dog and who's actually owning what metric as well. That's really, really important.
Very cool. So in terms of the future, it's like, do you foresee, like, do you want to hit a certain point and stay there? Do you want to keep going? Do you want to
we want to grow the group to over 10,000 people. We want to be the largest, not even the largest, but the best, most impactful AI automations group on the entire planet. Like, in terms of like members, we have the largest paid one that exists. And I know for a fact there are so many people that benefit from what we do, and nothing gets me fired up. Like, people in my group saying, dude, I did it. I hit it. I made 10K selling this thing. I'm like, yes, dude, I love that. And we don't purposefully go and do those businesses, and we could make a lot of money doing those businesses, because for us, like, success is your success. That our North Star is what will drive the most net value to our group. Like, that's pretty much the only thing we care about when we make any decisions. What's going to best serve our group to take them up a level. And that's what we want. And we believe that we will have 10,000 people in the group doing that, 100%.
And once the North Star's set, it's exciting to talk about aspirations of where we're going to be in 6 months, a year or two. But we don't, once it's set, we set and forget, and we just say, what today can we do to improve the group, add more value, and put in the reps? So we're more systems focused, improve the product, interstellar experience, the growth will come.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like what you said. It's like your North Star is like the compass. You know the direction, but you just take the next step, and then what do you say? The pavement appears.
Yeah, the pavement. You take one step, and then the road just becomes clearer. Yeah, you can have the vision generally that and you evaluate it, but we don't spend too much time. We want to make more money. We want to reduce our churn, but we just think more about improving the product, adding value, and just next step, putting in the reps.
Yes, and actually, that's how you know you're really on your own path, is when the path is not clear. When you don't know what's next, that's actually how you know that you are creating your own path. Because one of the things you realize, most people don't really know what they're doing. They don't know where they're going or what the hell's happening. So when you're not sure about what the next step is, that means you are really actually heading in the right direction, I think, because you're authoring it.
So cool. Genuinely. We love what you're doing. Like, we love to see it. We love like to see the success that you have, both in terms of like the financial, but then also like the hard stuff inside the community. And I'm so excited to see where you guys go.
We appreciate it, man. Thanks for having us on.
100%. Thanks for the platform. If you guys want to jump into AI, like, we'll link Jack and Adam's group in the link there. And if you're interested in starting a Skool community, there'll be a link there as well, and we'll show you how to do it. Appreciate you guys.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thanks
bro.
very much.
See you next time in Vegas.
Let's go.
Yes, boy.